To serve in the armed forces, to give 1 year of life to one's country is the sacred duty of every self-respecting young man. Frivolous teenagers leave for military service, and a year later they return as young men, self-confident, able to obey and command. The army is the best school of life for a young Russian. This will be confirmed by everyone who happened to serve military service. But from any, even the most beautiful school, and even more so as harsh as the armed forces, students always want to run away in order to enjoy freedom. Therefore, soldiers from the first day of service dream of Dembel. Hello, Newsoldier in touch! The word Dembel is Russian army slang and has two meanings. Demob, the end of military service and demobilization, the dismissal of soldiers from the army to the reserve. Demob, a soldier finishing his service who has only a few days left before they are ordered to dismiss, and a soldier dismissed from the army on demobilization. But this is all just diet terminology. In fact, Dembel is the state of mind of someone who ends his military service. Such a person cannot simply go home according to the charter, otherwise it will not be a holiday of the soul. Therefore, conscripts begin to prepare for demobilization about 6 months before they are ordered to transfer to the reserve. What is Dembel album? One of the obligatory attributes of the Dembel is the so-called demobilization album. This is a special, beautifully designed album with photographs taken during the service. It becomes not just a photo report about the time spent in the army, but also the apotheosis of army design, where every soldier can apply all his creative abilities. Albums are covered with soldiers' clothes, sheathed with aiguillettes, decorated with stripes and stars. Their pages are full of intricate drawings, handmade vignettes, collages and more. The photographs in the Dembel album take a rather secondary place, justifying the existence of this luxurious item. What is a Dembel court? Dembel court is the volume of one-time work performed by order of the command. As a rule, it is assigned to military personnel 1 to 2 months before being transferred to the reserve. The conditions for its implementation are informally linked to the date of dismissal. As a part of the motivation of military personnel, the command can unofficially make a deal with the soldier, a quick and high-quality execution of a court in exchange for an earlier departure as a part of the order. As a rule, household chores are the subject of a court: painting the barracks, putting the car park in order, updating the markings on the parade ground, and so on. The material part of the question lies with the command, and the soldier is required only diligent performance. For the duration of such work, the conscript is released from routine public tasks. Preparing for Dembel. Many soldiers prepare a special military uniform for the Dembel, which has a very approximate resemblance to the dress uniform of the Russian army, but is decorated with numerous manifestations of military chic. For this uniform, which will most likely be worn only once in a lifetime, on the road from the unit to the home, the soldiers come up with the most incredible decorations: luxurious golden aiguillettes, velvet trim, homemade shoulder marks and even epaulettes. The Dembel uniform is sewn mainly at night or during rare hours of rest, and is a material symbol of gaining long-awaited freedom. They wear such a uniform for only a few days in the unit itself before dismissal, near the barracks or in the location. It cannot be worn for guard mount, since such a form refers to misconduct. It is also impossible to go home in it, since a military patrol has the right to detain a serviceman in this form. It remains to put all the beauty in a clean bag and carry it in hands. The real purpose of this form is a photo for memory in the army and in the early days in civilian life. Dembel in Soviet times. In the Soviet army they also refined this terrible force over the full-dress military uniform. Soldiers made it a kind of uniform of the generals of the Tsarist army. They embroidered a tunic and trousers, painstakingly attached a mattress hem to the collar with indispensable arrows for service duration. And shoulder marks with epaulettes, cords, chevrons, badges and other trinkets were also used. Boots acquired laces and tassels. A belt was signed. The pile of the overcoat was combed by 2 to 3 centimeters. Badges were made from amalgamated copper. Emblems for buttonholes, chevrons and stripes for trousers were cut from plexiglass and brass. Iron boots received a lunar shimmer coating. In general, the thought of the soldier at the end of his service knew no boundaries. Looking at old photographs, you understand that Soviet Dembel is just an example of a statutory attitude to uniforms. An elegant diplomat in his hands, with souvenirs for his relatives and Dembel album. The tunic is a little unbuttoned and the cap is on the back of his head, so this is a Dembel. And, mind you, no one had their hands in their pockets. They taught once and there was respect for the form. Yes, inserts were made in different ways. Hemming was made of many layers of cellophane and smoothed with an iron. They took out a spring from the cap, cut it and sewed two pieces into the edges of the shoulder marks to give it shape. You can also insert pieces from the sewn bodies of the short RPOA shmel into shoulder marks. And someone in a simple way slightly rounded the shoulder marks on the parade form and sewed the stripes with the red thread, ironed the boots with polish and refined the heel a little. For the upcoming Dembel, which was inevitable like sunrise, the fighter began to prepare almost 6 months before demobilization, and this was accompanied by a number of rituals. In addition to the preparation of the Dembel form, the Dembel photo album also played an important role. Previously it was covered with velvet, or just an overcoat and decorated with sewn copper letters. And if something that was not supposed to be photographed accidentally got into the frame, then this caused the owner of the album to be especially proud. In Soviet times, officers for educational work zealously fought against the Dembel fad to decorate their uniform. Now the practice of embellishment has come to naught, thanks to patrols that punish violations of uniforms and commanders in units that prohibit military personnel from mocking uniforms. Psychologists believe that the desire to decorate the form in this way apparently has its own reasons. Realizing themselves as cogs in the mechanism of the army machine, the soldiers feel their lack of rights, especially in the barracks atmosphere, after daily hard work. And the difference among the military branches in which conscripts serve, where there are more or less prestigious ones, leaves its psychological imprint. It leads to the inferiority complex and the desire to compensate for it with something. There is an opinion that those who were holding weapons only on Earth are engaged in decorating their uniform. The Ministry of Defense claims that most of the conscripts transferred to the reserve return home in uniform. Especially it is a must for paratroopers, scouts, marines, navy men, bodyguards. It is a sin not to show off for at least a day in front of girlfriends, friends, relatives and neighbors in a blue or black beret, green cap or pickless cap. And how not to show the people your awards and distinctions. Let them see that you did not serve in vain. Many carefully keep the attributes of their service for decades. Not a single day of a paratrooper, bodyguard or navy is complete without a mass appearance of former servicemen of all ages and social status in combat headgear. For Dembel, this is constant reflection on the topic how to make a Dembel uniform. And demand, as you know, creates supply. Recently, a lot of offers have appeared for the sale of ready-made demobilization uniforms made to order for any kind of troops by private ateliers. Fashion designers meet Dembels in a big way, demonstrating their design work on confidentiality terms. But Dembel fashion sometimes goes to extremes and can turn a military uniform into a mixture of hussar and fancy dress. Other than senseless and merciless, this fashion cannot be called in any way. Such phenomena mean the existence of the need for ordinary soldiers to have a beautiful dress uniform, so that others pay attention to them. Currently, there is no such dress uniform, but there are homemade variations of it that do not meet the requirements of military aesthetics. This trend of soldiers' fashion was popularly called sewn troops. Its essence is in the presence on the soldier's front and even everyday military uniform of hypertrophied decoration elements. The uniform is decorated with rich embroidery in white, blue, red or gold coat. Cockades, buckles and buttons are polished to a mirror finish. High-standing collars are made with a thick hemming up to 1 cm, stitched with large stitches with black thread. Sergeant stripes and badges are decorated with embroidery. Boots are trimmed, shod with steel balls and cut dowel nails. As a result, we are presented with very vivid examples of such possession of a needle and thread that you understand. Boys need to allocate fewer hours to study embroidery in arts and crafts at school. Some people like the idea of decoration so much that not only the military uniform suffers from this, but also the aesthetics perception of others. In addition to Russia, this phenomenon has become widespread in the former republics, Ukraine and Kazakhstan. That's all. Leave your comments below the video. Don't forget to like and to subscribe to our channel. There are many more interesting things ahead of you. See you soon, friends! Narrated by Maxim Nikulin for Newsoldier channel.